The silence in the car felt like pressure on my chest. I was gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. Jake sat in the passenger seat, arms crossed, eyes fixed straight ahead. In the back, Alex leaned forward slightly, like a soldier waiting for the signal. None of us spoke. We didn't need to. Across the street, Samantha's house glowed with soft yellow lights. A neat, suburban home with trimmed hedges and wind chimes by the porch. It looked peaceful, innocent, but I knew better. I'd spent the last 4 weeks confirming what my gut had whispered for months. Samantha, my wife of 11 years, had been lying to me. The affair wasn't just physical. It was strategic, long-running. She'd planned it. She thought I'd never know. She thought I'd be too far away to notice, because I was deployed. She underestimated how quiet betrayal becomes loud when you know how to listen. It started small. Missed calls. A strange coldness in her texts. Busy with PR meetings. Late dinner with the team. The same excuses, recycled. But the words felt hollow. The warmth was gone. When I got back from the base 3 months early, without telling her, she didn't smile. She looked surprised. Not guilty. Just irritated. 3 days later, I installed a hidden camera inside our living room TV. I used the same system I'd used overseas. A cloud-based link, invisible even to her paranoid tech habits. It caught everything. A week later, I had the proof. Her and him, Rico Torres, half-dressed, sharing wine on our couch, laughing like it was all a game. I watched the footage a dozen times. Not because I doubted it, but because I needed to kill the last remaining bit of doubt inside me. And once that was done, I made the call. Jake and Alex didn't ask questions. They just nodded. Brothers, even if not by blood. They'd seen we're beside me. Now we were heading into something dirtier, betrayal in your own home. It was 11:12 p.m. I glanced at the house again. Lights still on. Movement in the upstairs bedroom. A shadow moved past the curtain. I felt something harden inside me. The kind of cold that makes you see everything sharp. Jake leaned over slightly. You sure she's in there with him? I nodded once. She parked around the block. His truck's in the garage. Same setup as last Friday. Alex checked his phone. Neighbors are asleep. Nothing on the street cams. We're clear. I exhaled. Slow. Steady. I wasn't here to yell. I wasn't here to cry or fall apart. I was here for control. She'll expect drama, I said. We give her silence. Make her feel the weight of it. Jake smirked. No problem. We stepped out of the car like ghosts. Quiet boots on the pavement. I walked around the back of the house, heart calm, mind focused. I reached the fuse box. My gloved hand pulled out the wire cutters. One clean snap, and the house went dark. From inside, I heard muffled voices. Then confusion. What the hell? Samantha's voice. Sharp, irritated. Rico's reply was lower. Mumbled. I imagined his hand brushing her shoulder, playing it cool. I knew that tone. Arrogant. Dismissive. Jake slipped me a flashlight. Not to see, just for effect. I clicked it once, then off again. Let them know someone was outside. Watching. I saw a curtain shift. Samantha, Rico said, more alert now. There's someone out there. The front door cracked open slightly. A beam of hallway light spilled out. I stepped forward just enough for her to see me. Her silhouette froze. She wasn't expecting me. I said nothing. Just stood there. And just like that, the game was mine now. The second Samantha saw my face through the window, she froze. It was quick, just a blink, but I saw the exact moment her bravado cracked. Her hand, which had been resting on Rico's shoulder, dropped. Her mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. Just a sharp intake of breath. She turned to him. It's Lucas. Even from where I stood, I could hear the edge in her voice. The panic she didn't know how to hide. Rico leaned toward the window but didn't step into the light. You sure? I know my husband's face. The way she said, husband, like it was a dead language, that was the last time she'd ever get to use the word for me. Jake had already slipped around the side of the house. I heard the soft metallic click of locks turning. Back door, sealed. Alex moved to the garage. Another click. We didn't need weapons. Just precision. Inside, they were moving fast. The living room light came on briefly, then went out. Footsteps thudded upstairs. I didn't move. I wanted her to keep seeing me through that glass. Silent. Unblinking. The power was still off. Just emergency light from Rico's phone screen bouncing off the walls. Call someone, she whispered. Call someone now. But Rico's signal wouldn't connect. I knew it wouldn't. We had a jammer running from Jake's car. Nothing illegal. just enough to scramble signals within 30 feet. Nothing's working, Rico said. The signal's dead. Try again. I said it's dead. That's when they started to argue. I watched them, two silhouettes tangled in shadows and rising tension, the same way they had tangled in lies for months. Now they were unraveling. Rico turned toward the door. If he's here to fight, I'm not playing. He's nuts. He opened the door and stepped halfway outside. Jake appeared behind him like smoke. Calm, cold. He didn't touch him, didn't need to. Rico backed up like he'd seen something he couldn't explain. Don't, Jake said. Bad idea. I stepped forward. Rico stared at me. This some kind of scare tactic, man? You gonna cry about your wife? Still running his mouth. He didn't realize he'd already lost. You're not the first, I said quietly. But you'll be the last. Rico laughed once, dry and nervous. You think you scare me? I didn't answer. Just stared at him. I could see the moment the mask dropped. He realized we weren't yelling. We weren't raging. We weren't doing what people usually do when they catch betrayal. That silence, that was the danger. Samantha came up behind him. She was barefoot, wrapped in a robe, mascara smudged. Her eyes were locked on me. Not defiant. Not ashamed. Just calculating. This is insane, she said. What do you want? I tilted my head. What I've always wanted. The truth. She flinched, not because of the words, but because she didn't have one ready. We can talk, she added quickly. Privately. Not like this. You made it public the moment you brought him into our home. That hit. I saw it in the way she looked down. For the first time, she was exposed. No script. No cover story. Just the weight of what she'd done. You're making a mistake, Rico said. You think you'll come out of this looking good? I'm not trying to look good. And I meant it. This wasn't about ego. This wasn't about winning anyone back. This was about balance. Clarity. Consequence. I looked over his shoulder, into the house. Turn on the lights, I said. There's no power. Then light a candle. I want you to see each other. I want you to really look. Neither moved. Jake stepped closer. His presence said more than I ever needed to. They stepped back inside, and I followed. We were done playing quiet. It was time to begin. The door creaked as I stepped inside. No one spoke. The only sound was the faint hiss of smoke residue still curling in the hallway. My boots were heavy on the tile, grounding me with every step. Rico and Samantha stood by the kitchen counter, bathed in the flickering light of a single emergency candle. It cast long, twitching shadows on the walls. Samantha clutched the edge of the countertop like it might anchor her to something real. Rico had moved slightly in front of her, some instinct, maybe, or ego. He looked like he was trying to puff himself up, but his eyes wouldn't meet mine. That was the first crack. I stopped a few feet away and let the silence fill the space between us. You invited him here, I said, not as a question. She didn't answer. You made our house a hiding place. For this. I motioned between them. For months. Samantha's mouth opened, but nothing came out. I waited. She tried again. I didn't plan for it to happen like this. Of course not, I said. Cheaters never do. Rico took a step forward, arms slightly raised like he was calming a dog. Look, man, whatever this is, it's over. We'll go, all right? No need for drama. I turned my head slowly toward him. Drama? I said the word like it was foreign. He flinched, realizing how wrong it sounded here, in this quiet room, with no yelling, no fists. Just consequence. Jake and Alex entered behind me, standing on either side. Neither spoke. They didn't need to. You brought this on yourself, Samantha snapped suddenly, her voice sharp and desperate. You shut me out for a year. Always working. Always tired. You never listened. I tilted my head. That's her defense? I asked. That I didn't pay enough attention while you turned our bedroom into a motel? She recoiled. It hit harder than I expected. This isn't who I am, she said, like she was pleading with a mirror. I just needed something. No, I said. You needed a choice. And you made it. Rico shifted his weight, probably looking for an exit physically or otherwise. He was eyeing Jake now. Bad idea. Jake didn't flinch. You ever think, I said to him, what kind of man climbs into another man's life and just takes? His jaw clenched. She told me you were done. That your marriage was over. She told you what you needed to hear. And you believed it, Jake added. First words he'd said all night. Cold. Final. Samantha looked like she might cry, but the tears didn't come. Good. I wasn't in the mood for tears. You said you wanted truth, she whispered. I already have it. I pulled out my phone and tapped the screen. From the speaker came a recording, her voice, clear, laughing. He still thinks I'm at yoga class. Poor thing. Then Rico's voice. Guy's a ghost. But he doesn't even know we've been using his wine. Laughter. Muffled kissing sounds. Clinking glass. I let it play for 10 more seconds, then paused it. Silence. Samantha stared at the counter. Rico turned away, rubbing his jaw like it could hide him. You recorded us, she said. But her voice wasn't angry. It was hollow. She knew the answer. You made a show, I replied. I just documented it. No more yelling. No accusations. Just facts. I looked them both in the eyes, one by one. I wanted them to feel it. The pressure of reality closing in. You're going to walk out of this house, I said. But not before you admit it. They didn't move. So I added, say it. Samantha blinked. What? Say what you did. Out loud. Both of you. No, she murmured. I stepped closer. Then I'll send that audio to your mother, your job, and your daughter's school. I'm not bluffing. Samantha's voice cracked. I cheated. Rico swallowed. Same. And I'm not sorry, I said, finishing for them. Because you're not. Not really. I turned my back and walked toward the door. Jake held it open. Alex said nothing, just stared until they lowered their eyes. You're free to go, I said without looking back. But you don't come back. Not to this house. Not to me. Ever. Then I stepped outside. Into the cold. Into silence. Behind me, the truth sat thick in the air, and they were the ones who had to breathe it. I didn't go to Jake's or Alex's that night. I went home. Alone. The silence hit harder than anything Samantha ever said. Not because I missed her, but because now I knew this place, our home, was just another crime scene. And I needed to process it like one. I walked through each room slowly. Turned on lights. Checked corners. Not because I was afraid someone was hiding, but because I wanted to see everything clearly. Nothing in shadow anymore. The master bedroom smelled faintly of her perfume and burnt candle wax. I didn't touch the sheets. Didn't open the closet. I sat down at my desk, pulled out the hard drive from the locked drawer, and started compiling. Camera footage, audio logs, screenshots, a timestamped digital library of betrayal. Samantha thought I didn't pay attention. She mistook quiet for blindness. 3 months ago, I noticed the change. The makeup that appeared for late errands. The quick phone flips when I entered the room. The way she stopped humming when doing laundry. And most of all, how she started using her middle name in certain emails. Lexi, something only people outside our real life called her. I installed the audio capture under the hallway light fixture. The hallway where they always said goodbye. I routed the front camera feed to a hidden NAS drive in the garage. One that synced to my cloud when the garage door opened. She never noticed it. The recordings weren't dramatic. No loud moaning. No cliché dialogue. Just small moments. Quiet betrayals. Rico standing shirtless by the fridge, drinking my last beer. Samantha giggling like she was 19 again. The sound of them whispering in my kitchen, making coffee, using my mug, the one she bought me when we first moved in. This wasn't rage anymore. It was analysis. I opened a new folder, legal. Inside, I placed the following. Screenshots of her texts from the synced iPad. Video captures of Rico arriving late, always entering through the side door. Audio files labeled by date and voice. A Word doc listing each day she claimed to be working late versus the days Rico appeared on the cameras. Then, I called a name I hadn't said aloud in years, Richard Kaplan. Divorce attorney. Former JAG. The man who once told me, don't yell. Collect. Lucas, he said when he picked up. Didn't think I'd hear from you again. I need full custody, I said. And an airtight exit. He didn't ask for the story. Just said, Dropbox the files. I'll review overnight. You'll get my retainer agreement in your inbox within the hour. Done. Next, finances. I accessed our joint accounts. She hadn't drained them. Yet. But I transferred 70% into a separate trust under my name. Legal, documented, defensible. I left enough for the bills and a lawyer she'd no doubt hire. That way, I couldn't be accused of financial abuse. Everything above board. Cold. Surgical. By 2:40 a.m., I was sitting in the backyard with a coffee. I stared at the dark windows of my own house like it was someone else's. And in a way, it was. This wasn't home anymore. It was a holding zone for a version of me that no longer existed. When dawn came, I didn't sleep. I changed into a clean shirt, grabbed the file drive, and drove to Richard's office. He was already there, waiting. You're not here to negotiate, he said, looking through the materials. You're here to end it. That's right. And you're not after revenge. No, I said. Just the truth. Publicly documented. On the record. He nodded, closing the folder. Then let's make sure she gets her day in court. I stepped outside as the sun cracked the edge of the sky. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel betrayed. I felt prepared. Richard moved fast. Within 48 hours, the emergency custody request was filed. The temporary restraining order was prepped. A process server was dispatched. And a digital copy of the evidence, cleanly presented, time-stamped, legally admissible, was submitted to the family court office. Samantha still hadn't reached out. I knew she was buying time, waiting for Rico to tell her what to do. I imagined the late-night whispers, her pacing with a wine glass, telling him I'd cool off, that this was all emotional. She'd always assumed she could talk her way through consequences, that words and charm could undo actions. Not this time. I didn't answer when her name popped up on my phone. For missed calls. A message, can we talk? No, we couldn't. I was at Richard's office, reviewing documents, filing motions, preparing to detonate her false narrative from the inside out. You're calm, Richard noted, scanning a clause about parental visitation. I nodded. Because I'm ready. You know she's going to spin this, he added. Paint you as cold, controlling, distant. I counted on that. Let her try. By the end of the week, the documents were served. According to the process server, Samantha answered the door in leggings, barefoot, mascara half-faded. Rico was shirtless behind her, holding a protein shake. She smiled until she saw the envelope. When she opened it, the report said, her expression didn't shift. Not panic. Not outrage. Just that same performative detachment. Tell Lucas I'm not scared of lawyers, she said. Good. That meant she still didn't understand. I knew she'd try to respond. And she did, with a long email sent from a burner Gmail. No, I'm sorry. Just paragraphs of rationalization, twisted logic, and one line that made my jaw lock. I didn't betray you. I evolved. That was it. That was the line. I forwarded it to Richard. Subject. Statement of character. He replied 2 minutes later. Perfect. We'll use that in court. The next day, I initiated a full financial discovery. Subpoenaed her work device. Cross-referenced her location data with the night she said she was at her sister's or on work travel. What emerged was a pattern. Lies that repeated themselves. Same excuses. Same time blocks. Same car parked on a side street a block from our house. I documented it all. Then I requested a meeting with the court-appointed custody evaluator. Brought every file. Explained, without theatrics, how Samantha had endangered our daughter's emotional environment. Not with abuse. With instability. With recklessness. She invited a man with a criminal record into our home, I said, sliding over Rico's public record. The evaluator didn't respond. Just nodded, made a note, and asked when Samantha had last attended a school meeting. Last fall, I said. Right before she stopped answering the teacher's emails. That night, she showed up at the house. I saw her through the ring cam before she even knocked. I opened the door but didn't let her inside. You can't just erase me, she said. I'm not. I'm just showing everyone who you really are. I made mistakes. No. You made choices. Her voice cracked. We had a life. We had a contract. You broke it. Now I'm enforcing the terms. She looked past me into the house. She's my daughter too. For now, I said. We'll see what the court says. Then I closed the door in her face. No slamming. Just finality. She stood there for a moment, frozen, trying to maintain her composure. But the mask had cracks now. And behind them, I saw it, not regret, fear. It was working. 2 days after I shut the door in her face, Samantha tried a different approach, indirect. That morning, I received a text from her sister. She's spiraling. You need to talk to her. I didn't reply. Not because I didn't care, but because I no longer played her rescuer. Later that evening, a police car pulled into the driveway. Mr. Holden, the officer asked. We had a report that you're withholding a minor from her legal guardian. I handed him the paperwork. Temporary custody order. Emergency restraining directive. Time-stamped. Signed by a judge. He looked it over, nodded once, and said, Understood. Sorry to trouble you. But I wasn't troubled. That was Samantha's move. Weaponize authority, feign victimhood. She wanted the optics, cops at my door, neighbors watching. She wanted chaos. I gave her documentation. The next morning, I learned Rico had been calling my daughter's school. He tried to pick her up. Told the office he was family. They didn't release her, the staff knew better. But it made things clear. Samantha was pushing, testing, seeing how far the system would stretch to accommodate her recklessness. I notified my attorney. He filed an additional motion for no third-party contact with the child, citing Rico's unsolicited attempt as a violation of boundaries. We attached his criminal record, minor possession charges, 2 incidents of assault. Nothing major, but enough. Samantha responded with her first real attempt at control, a countersuit. She accused me of alienation, claimed I was manipulating our daughter, poisoning her against her mother. The court ordered a temporary hearing. 2 weeks out. I didn't panic. Instead, I built. I gathered phone records, video timestamps, school attendance logs. I assembled teacher statements, not coached, just candid. She seems calmer, one note read, more focused in class since the transition. At night, I didn't drink, didn't scroll. I sat at the dining table and rehearsed depositions with Richard. Calm, clear, direct. Meanwhile, Samantha began to fracture publicly. She showed up at our daughter's dance recital uninvited, stood in the back of the auditorium, and waved too much. Our daughter barely acknowledged her. Then afterward, she cornered me in the parking lot. I'm still her mother, she snapped. No one's disputing biology, I said. But parenting is proven. She grabbed my arm. I pulled away. You're poisoning her. No. She saw through you on her own. The next morning, I had security footage of the parking lot printed and added to the restraining order request. Richard reviewed it with a nod. This is what implosion looks like. She's getting sloppy. She's desperate. The night before the hearing, I received a long voicemail from Samantha. Not angry, pleading. A soft voice, trying to sound like the woman I once knew. She misses you. I know she does. We were happy once. Please, don't make this ugly. But it already was. Not because I made it so. Because she had. At 9 a.m., I stood in court in a navy suit and clean silence. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't look at her. I answered what was asked, handed over what was required. Samantha stuttered through her statements. She tried charm, tried tears, tried the victim mask. But the judge looked at documents, not dramatics. And when the decision came, it was swift. Temporary custody upheld. Supervised visitation ordered. Hearing for permanent arrangement set in 30 days. I didn't celebrate. I just nodded. Outside the courtroom, Samantha caught up with me. No Rico beside her this time. She didn't speak at first. Just stared. Then, I didn't think you'd go this far. You started the fire, I said. I'm just making sure it burns clean. The night of the charity gala was warm. Clean air. Sharp suits. White wine. Samantha was there, of course, standing near the floral wall, smiling for cameras like the last 6 months hadn't happened. She wore a fitted navy dress and her favorite illusion, that nothing was broken. She didn't see me walk in. I wasn't on the list. But I'd been invited, by someone from the board who knew the truth, who'd heard about the court case, the restraining order, the way Samantha had spun lies until they collapsed under their own weight. I stood back. Waited. Then, as she took the mic to thank the donors, voice polished, smile firm, I moved. The projector lit up behind her. A file autoplayed. Silent at first. Then, audio. Clear. Undeniable. Her voice. Rico's voice. Old recordings, stripped from her forgotten cloud account. He'll never find out. It's not like he cares. She's just a kid. She'll get over it. The room froze. Her hand dropped from the mic. Faces turned. Phones came out. The audio rolled on, laughter, mockery, betrayal. Samantha stood still, then tried to speak, but no one listened. Not anymore. I stepped forward. Not to her. To the front. Said just one sentence. You all deserve to see the real version. Then I walked away. Outside, the night was quiet. No applause. No satisfaction. Just the end. Back home, my daughter was asleep. Peacefully. Finally, I sat beside her bed for a minute. Watched her breathe. She never needed revenge. She needed safety. And that's what I gave her. No more games. No more masks. Just truth and silence. That's how the story ends.